The Ron G Morning Show, every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. only on WSAN Radio, the soul of America. All right, good morning, everybody. It's nice for y'all to join us. I'm here this morning at 10:30, and I sure hope we have some students around, some grandmothers around, some aunties around, because the word you're about to hear, you're going to need to hear it with school getting ready to come out. Me, myself, personally, I do not want to see the kids playing video games all summer. It's too much to do out there. And the way the world is right now, y'all need to listen to this segment that we have coming up right now. I'm going to let the two ladies introduce themselves.
Hey, good morning. My name is Tara Bullard. I am a proud wife and mom of one, grandmother of two, and we started this company because we had a passion to help families reduce the stress in college planning. So I'll pass it over to my business partner.
Mhm. Hi, I'm Twyla Hough. I am the co-founder of College Consulting and Career Coaching, and we are just passionate about working with
Mhm.
families. I hail from Ohio, went to school in Indiana, made my way down here to San Antonio to work at Trinity University in career services. Then I moved on to go get my doctorate at Texas Tech, then came back, started working at Texas State. And now I am working with Tara Bullard and continuing my work also in faculty at Texas State University.
And I went to Texas State when it was called
Ah,
Southwest Texas. That's where I got my
Yeah.
teaching
Mhm.
certificate from.
eat them up.
Yeah, so I enjoy teaching to a certain extent. Not nowadays. You cannot get me in there the way the kids are nowadays.
Yeah,
That's
it's
bad for me to
different.
say. I shouldn't
It
say
is
It's
that
very
different.
because
different. It's
yeah,
very different from our days in the schoolhouse. So yes.
Hmm.
yeah. The word
Hmm.
I use and everybody tickle me when I say that they're unique. I
Mm.
use that word
That's
a
one way
lot
to
because
say it.
it could go
Hmm.
either way how you think unique is. but
Yes.
but anyway, for the parents who are just beginning the college planning process, where should they start at?
So I'll take that question and then allow Dr. Huff. I like how she did not use her title, but Dr. Huff comes with a lot of years of experience. But I gained my experience, started my journey about 15 years ago, wanting something different for my daughter. She was able to graduate Baylor debt free, so I learned a lot through the process. She's currently working on her graduate degree with the same goal of graduating debt free. But in that process for parents, the key is the earlier you start, the better. And so gathering information, joining opportunities like this to gather information. I like to say you're kind of building a toolbox for the family,
Mhm.
realizing that you were chosen. I have a true passion for parents. And when we realize that God chose us for our child and everything that our child needs is inside of us, you can walk in a place of confidence and peace, but it comes with the responsibility also to equip ourselves as parents. So gathering information. So for that parent of a middle school child, I would say exposure. Um, as parents, we expose our kids directly or indirectly, good things and bad things. That's just life. And so I would say anything that you notice in your child, they're good, they enjoy playing video games. Well, why not get them into a coding camp to see how that video game was created? They enjoy being outside. Why not get them to the local park and link them up with a park ranger? There's so many opportunities that you can expose your children to. So that's key in middle school. Middle school is all about exposure, having those conversations, finding out what are my child's strengths. I'm not going to say they will have one. God bless them with many. So just keeping the dialogue exposure. Moving on to high school, beginning in ninth grade, from that exposure, learning what their strengths are. Now we're aligning them with careers. We're ensuring that their high school planning, those courses that they're taking, that they're aligning with those strengths and those desires that they have, and taking advantage of all those free courses. I was blown away when I sit down with families and see today the courses that high schools offer. It is mind blowing. You
Mhm.
can graduate with so many college credits, so
Mhm.
many certifications now. We met with a family
Mhm.
last night. Their daughter is going to have the opportunity to graduate and be ready to take her real estate license exam when she
Wow.
that's for us, we had to come out of pocket for
Mhm.
courses like that. And it's such a blessing. So take advantage. Go into high school with a plan.
Mhm.
Strategy is key. And I'm going to hand it over to my business partner, Dr. Huff. You can add on from ninth grade.
Yeah. So we highly recommend that families get their students exposure to colleges. And so whether that's
Mhm.
K through 5, looking at summer camps that are hosted on campuses during the summer for soccer or baseball or arts or fashion, universities are often doing programs in the summer for elementary through high school. And this
Yes.
exposure may seem like, oh, but it's just a child going there for baseball. They are getting on a campus, they are interacting with
Mhm.
college students, they are seeing the world bigger and beyond what they're used to. So we say, even start with kindergarten through 5th grade with just that level of exposure. But then when we jump back up to high school, they need to be formalized campus visits. So not just
Mhm.
doing a summer camp or visiting with your class, but visiting with your parents with a scheduled formal tour of the campus,
Mhm.
meeting with the students, meeting with the financial aid office, meeting with the registrar, talking about the admissions process, finding out who your admissions counselor is. So, really, when we're talking about 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, these students should have narrowed down what colleges
Mhm.
they're interested in going
Yes.
into and visited most of those, if not all, the colleges on their top list of places they want to apply to.
I got a comment to make before I go to the next question. The comment that you made that some of the kids are ready to go into real estate out of high school.
Mhm.
Um, One thing jumped in my mind is the maturity level.
Mhm.
When they do something like that, are they mature enough on that level when that money start coming in, and yet be mature enough to know the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts?
Mhm. It
Mhm.
depends on the child and
It
their
does
family.
depend. Mhm. It depends upon, and again, back to the parent, how well the parent has prepared
Mhm.
them. Because one thing to keep in mind as a parent, the goal is a productive adult. So you
Mhm.
want to teach them not when they're it's what May and they're about to graduate in a couple of weeks. That's not when
Mhm.
you want to, but you want to teach them along the way
Mhm.
fiscal responsibility, how to
Mhm.
budget, how to write out a written budget and manage a bank account. So there's certain life skills that you need to be teaching. And so with our company, our heart is the family unit, and it's making the
Mhm.
family unit stronger. Yes, we do college planning. That's the core of what we do.
Mhm.
But at the heart of what we do is the family unit. And many times during our sessions, if we have an opportunity to sow seeds or water a seed that was already planted, we don't take that for granted. And we like to encourage the family unit, encourage the parent, encourage the student on life. The goal is a productive adult.
Mhm.
Okay. So, what are some of the common mistakes family make when preparing for college?
Waiting to the last minute.
Oh, that's a
Thinking
good
that
one.
this,
Yes.
yeah, that is probably the most common one is thinking that this is an 11th, 12th grade conversation.
Mhm.
And as Tara mentioned earlier, this is something they should be starting soon, like ideally, no later than middle school. But again, as I mentioned earlier, there are some little things that you can do with exposure even earlier than that. But no later than middle school in terms of, are you financially fit? Like, what's affordability look like in terms of college affordability? Have you had the
Mhm.
conversations about scholarships? Because unless you have like a strong financial plan where you're like, oh, we know by 12th grade she's going to have all the money or he's going to have all the money they need for all 4 years of college, and if they want to get their graduate they have money for that as well. There are very few people who can say that. And so scholarship searches need to start much sooner than 12th
Mhm.
grade. SAT, ACT preparation needs to happen much sooner than fall of your senior year. Visiting colleges should happen much sooner than 11th grade. And so one of the biggest challenges is helping families see that this is not something we just, oh, my child's about to graduate in a year or two.
Yeah.
We should probably start planning.
Mhm.
No, my
Mhm.
child is going to graduate one day and possibly go to college. They're only in the fifth grade or they're only in the eighth grade, but there's
Mhm.
something that I can do. Let me talk to those folks at College Consulting and Career Coaching
Yeah.
because I don't know what it
What
is
to
that they
do.
can be
Yeah.
doing, but I know it's something.
And another mistake families make is, which kind of as a result of waiting to plan, is when they're choosing a college, they do not factor in academic, financial, and social.
Mhm.
Those three factors are so important when choosing a school. Every child more than likely have a dream school. It's that school that they have watched, whether through sports or a family member attended, or, I just love their school colors, whatever it may be. Most kids have a dream school. If that dream school does not fit your child, if it does not fit you as a student, it's important to take the time to consider, because transferring schools cost more money.
Mhm.
Mm.
Not knowing getting to a college campus, mental health is real. If it does not fit
Yes.
socially, mental health is real. One of the things I wanted to talk about from a financial standpoint, the one big beautiful bill that went into effect 1 July um, of last year, 2025, it limits how much a parent can borrow for their student, and it
Mhm.
limits how much a student can borrow for themselves. So the
Mhm.
days of thinking federal loans, I'll just get loans. I'll just get federal loans. Those days are over,
Mm.
because there's a cap. There
Yep.
was always a cap, but they're enforcing the cap, especially when it comes to parents. Parents, you are only allowed to borrow $20,000 a student a year. You find me a school that costs $20,000 a year, and I would be very impressed. And there are some. I'm going to say there are a few out there, but there may be limits, and that is just tuition. You're not considering the other fees and everything that comes along with school. So being strategic, planning ahead, having those tough conversations, parents. I highly recommend by sophomore year, you sit down and you tell your child how much you are able to afford per year for them to attend schools. While they're watching you, they're going on the best family vacations, where they're going shopping, where they have the best allowance ever. In a child's mind, they're thinking, my parents got college. I don't have to worry about college. We're living our best life. But to that parent, they're living their best life, and they're thinking, my child's going to have to figure out college. Hey, I figured it out. They're going to have to figure it out. But
Yeah.
that is so unfair to the student. It's unfair to your child. Just sit down, have that conversation, let them know this is a conversation that does not leave our home. This
Mhm.
is what we can afford
Mhm.
per year for you to attend school. We have a college cost tracker that we use with our families, plug in all of those numbers, and this is the delta. So if you desire to go to that school, this is what you're going to have to come up with via scholarships, rather working yourself, do work study. But this is the delta. This is how much we're short per year for you to attend this school. And it's a tough conversation. I can tell you,
Yeah.
it is a tough conversation for a parent to be vulnerable and tell your child, or sometimes it's that conversation, we can't afford anything for your college. But I have great news. Just because you don't have it in the bank, what you can do is be strategic. And for us, for our family, what we did, we made scholarship search a part-time job, and it was a family affair. It became a part-time job for me as far as searching. I updated a spreadsheet. My daughter wrote the essays. My husband reviewed the essays. I submitted the scholarships, but she did all the work. But it was a family affair. We all came together and said, hey, we don't have in the bank what we wanted to send you to college. Mind you, she chose a private university and one of
Oh,
the most expensive ones in the state of Texas. But I felt a conviction. My husband and I felt a conviction because we were blessed as far as our income. We just weren't the best stewards. We had something for her college, but we didn't have private university. So we felt a conviction. Okay, is it fair to her? She's making the grades. She's competitive for scholarships. Is that fair for us to tell her, no, you can't attend Baylor because we can't afford? Now, if that's the case, I want to put this disclaimer out there. We only had one child. If we
Mhm.
had multiple childs, we would have been saying that. Baylor is just not going to be it, sweetie. We're sorry. But we knew early on we wanted our children, because we wanted more. We wanted our children to attend college debt free. We wanted to be able to give that. That is part of the legacy we wanted to give our children. But in that, we didn't make the best financial decisions over the years. And it happens. Life happens. And as
yes.
parents, don't beat yourself up. Just recognize it and say, I am going to do something different starting today. Our slogan is decide today, invest now, yield tomorrow.
Look at you beating to my next question. Thank you. Um,
Mhm.
but I want to jump in on that because my daughter decided she wanted to go to Incarnate Word.
And that's
And,
another one.
and I looked at her and I said, you know, money don't grow on trees.
Yeah.
And so we started in her sophomore year.
Mhm.
We started getting scholarships.
Mhm.
Hmm.
We started
Mhm.
early. We started all that
Mhm.
you get. I said, dear, did you look at scholarship for that? No, why not? You're not doing
Mhm.
nothing
That's
now.
right.
I said,
Yeah,
I
it's a
looked at
daily
them.
thing.
You look at, and
Hmm.
Mhm.
she said, it's only $250. It's $250 that you don't have now that you could put towards that. So as things were
Yes.
going,
Mhm.
we seen the
Mhm.
snowball effect going.
Yep.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
money was
Hmm.
coming in. Everything she was hitting it was
Mhm.
$25. She learned, and I told her, you get a penny, you add another penny, it's
Yep.
going to add up.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes.
Then I told her the story. If you have one person breaking a stick, now you put five sticks together and have them try to
Mm.
break it. They can't because
Mhm.
it's strong. And that's
Yeah.
what
Mhm.
you have to be. You have to be strong. I am proud to say my problem child, I call her that to this day, and she know it. She graduated with honors, and now
Mhm.
she is working at um, the front office at HEB. She does all the produce ordering
Mm.
for
Mm.
all the stores.
HEB is
So
a
Mhm.
great company to work
so
for.
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
so she said, Dad, what you think? I said, I'm proud of you. But remember what you told me? I
Mhm.
said, what's that? You said, when you make the big money, you're gonna take care of me. I'm ready to be taken care of.
Yes.
Yes, that's the joke
But
that my husband and
Yeah.
I have. Because we only have one child, we had to make sure that she was successful, and she is, because we had to make sure our nursing home was not going to be nice. We only
yeah,
have one.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm holding her to what she said. She ain't getting away with this one. I already told her that. But you beat me to the one because my next thing I was gonna ask you about was decide today, invest now, and yield tomorrow.
Hmm.
So you already told me what it means to you. So
Hmm.
the next question would be, how early should students and parents begin planning for college and a career being successful? How early should they start?
I'll let you you want to take that one, Dr. Huff?
Yeah, that's fine. So we have a college planning roadmap, and we started it with middle school, and it goes all the way through college age. And so college consulting and career coaching has those two elements, one focusing on college planning, one focusing on career planning. And so we do that with them throughout their life cycle. But then we realize, you know what, starting at middle school, that's not, I mean, like there are some things that you can do before that. So as I mentioned, we recommend K through 5, just doing some exposure things, getting onto the campuses, learning a little bit about what makes your student tick, setting up study habits that are ideal for them to continue on into middle school and high school so that it's not so difficult for them to adjust to more rigorous coursework in high school and then also college level coursework if they decide to do dual credit in high school. And so really just setting up the patterns, the rhythms, the systems that need to be in place during elementary school as the students are learning how to study and how to approach exams and tests and homework and projects, things like that. But then also getting them exposure culturally to different things, cultural enrichment, academic enrichment during the summer, making sure that there's not that summer melt where some of the things that they
Yeah.
learn kind of diminishes because they don't do anything intellectually stimulating during the summer. And that's in any level. That's kindergarten, that's third grade, that's sixth grade, that's 12th grade, right? And so there are things that people can do that prepare them for the college mindset or prepare them to be successful in college. These are skills, these are approaches that they can use that will then be transferable to being successful in college. But then the specific, like college oriented things such as tours and scholarships and things like that, those more specific, like directly college planning related, college admissions related type elements, those are more so things that we would want to see them doing strategically in their middle school years on through high school.
So I
Okay.
have a funny story to share. So my daughter went on her first tour to Baylor. That was her first college that she had to tour. And so we went there and she was in the fifth grade. And I remember checking in for the tour and it was an official tour. And the lady looked at me and then she looked at my daughter and then she looked back at me and she just had this confused look on her face. Because mind you, my daughter was in the fifth grade. And so she said, who's the tour for? I said, it's for her. She's I'm going on the top. It's for her. She wants to go to Baylor. And she looked at me like, okay. She's like, you're starting very early. Yep, but it's not too early. And so we sat through that tour with high school students, with mostly high school seniors, but it was gathering information. It was exposure for my daughter to be able to see the campus and just to experience what it's like to be on a college campus and learn more about Baylor. But for me, I was listening. I was
Mhm,
getting information on, okay, what does Baylor look for when they
Mhm.
accept students into their university, and that helped me target, okay, faith really needs to be focused in on this. This is what they really like to see. One thing you really can do in the foundational years, and that's K through 5, is to create a environment at home that's conducive to studying and really hone in on building good study skills,
mhm,
making sure they understand that academics are important, creating that balance, keeping them physically active, getting them in extracurricular activities, whatever they're
mhm,
into. Um, but that is teaching them, you don't realize you're really teaching your child time management because they're
Mhm.
having to maintain their schoolwork, but they're learning how to do time management, not only
mhm,
teamwork. You're teaching them how to get along with others, how
mhm,
to eat healthy. Mind you, sometimes that's not always successful because you have to do what you
Mhm.
have to do to make sure they're fed in between school and getting to practice. Um,
mhm,
but you're also having that time with your children too. Those car rides,
mhm,
having those conversations. So when you grow up,
mhm,
what do you want to do? Why do
mhm,
you think that's cool?
Mhm.
What do you
mhm,
think about this? Those are quality moments that you really cherish more when your child is about to walk that stage to get that high school diploma, or they're walking that stage getting that college degree. You start having those memories like, I remember when, man, those were the good old days. So
Yeah.
I encourage parents to enjoy every season, maximize every moment. It's
Mhm.
so important to do that.
Mhm.
You know, I told my daughter, I said, now, you're going to school. I don't want no Animal House stuff going on. She said, what's Animal House? So
Yes.
I had her look at the movie just to let her know you're not going there to party to get drunk.
Mm-mm.
You're going there to
Hmm.
learn. And she
Yeah.
did.
Mhm.
She went there and
Mhm.
she said, Dad, I never heard of that movie before. I think all
Mhm.
kids need to see that movie. Let them know it's not like that anymore. That was in
Mhm.
the 60s. And they don't do it. See, when people went to college in the 60s, they called that the first year was the fun year, not doing
Mhm.
anything. I said, huh? Are you crazy? But that's how that was. So
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
let me ask you this one question. I got one as I'm chomping at the bits on. Um, what does it mean to graduate college debt free, and how realistic is that goal for families today?
Mhm.
Mm. What it means for your child to graduate college debt free is legacy. I think many
Mhm.
times people think of legacy as leaving homes, leaving monetary things, but I never forget my daughter sending us a text after she had graduated college, and she was at a small group function, and they were talking about student loan debt. Other people were sharing how they were in student loan debt, and she texted my husband and I, said, thank you all so
Mhm.
much, because it allowed her to fully focus in on her career and not have student loan debt looming at
Mhm.
her. It's different when you can go on a job interview and they tell you the salary and you don't have any major debt. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? That dollar
Mm,
amount sounds a little bit different, you know what I mean? Then
yeah,
but graduating debt free is a freedom that
Mhm.
comes with that. Is a, as I said before, it's legacy. It's really propelling your child for success, because they're able to start investing in their retirement. They're able to start saving for a home. There's so many other milestones that adults have that your child can start earlier than most focusing in on. And is it possible today? Yes, it is totally possible today, with even how costs, university college costs keeps increasing every year, like everything. Um,
hmm,
but it's about being strategic. I know I keep
Yes.
saying that word, but it's
Yes,
so important. It's about being strategic,
it is.
having a plan, working the plan, but choosing a school you can afford, not one
Mhm.
to keep up with the Joneses, not one
mm,
to say, oh, my child went to this school, or I'm graduating from here. Yeah, but you're graduating from there with thousands of dollars of debt, and you're not going to be
Mhm.
able to enjoy life for years after you get that degree. So is it really that important to have that school on your
Mhm.
degree?
Mhm.
So it's liberating. Liberating and legacy is what, those are the words I
yeah.
would
Mhm.
use.
Mhm.
I was talking to this one guy one time years ago. He was upset because he got a low grade in college, but he graduated. I said, "What you upset for?" I got a D. I looked at him. I said, "You know what D equals diploma?" He said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, look at it that way. Turn that around. Nobody gonna ask you what you got for your grade. They just want to see that degree.
Mhm.
What you have." But it's so funny how some people are so entrenched in getting that high grade that sometimes you're not gonna get that high grade. You're not
Mhm.
gonna get it. What
Yes.
was
Well, I want to speak to grades. And so many times, many universities has so many resources, and those are conversations that we have with our clients to
Mhm.
maximize. They have what they call student success centers.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to the professor's office hours. Don't be
Mhm.
afraid to ask that peer, or go. I mean, there are so many online resources. I mean, in today's world, I mean, AI can
yeah.
help you to ethically. Let me put that out there. Use it
Mm-hmm.
ethically. But there's so many resources, but do not wait until you know what I mean, you have a test coming up and now you're trying to, because that leads to stress, and again that goes
Yes.
back to mental health. There's just so many factors, so many things to consider, but that's why we wanted to start this company, is to help the family. That's part of the plan, that when we sit down with the family, it's not just about getting your child into college. As Twyla shared, we think beyond, we plan beyond college. We
Mhm,
plan for the child in their career,
Mm-hmm.
being successful in their career. So we're
mhm,
always planning, casting vision beyond where we're currently at. We get you a plan to get you to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. And we're right there with you, arm in arm, as much as you will allow us to be. Guiding you. We can be your cheerleader. We can be your accountability partner. We can be, the one equipping you with information. We love to share information with people. That is truly our passion. Most of the time, we go over on our sessions because we get caught up. Like, what did you consider that?
Yes.
Especially if we see with the student, and this is Dr. Twyla's passion, is definitely the student. If she has a gift in asking those questions that I think leave the parents in awe, like, oh, we didn't know that. She knows how to pull it out of the student, and it really leads to, once it comes out, it's like, ooh, we get excited, like, oh, for real? Like, so we just like, you ever consider this? You ever consider that? And just give them options. That's one thing that God has gifted us with, is a gift to give a family options. And it's nothing like having options in life.
mhm. And I just wanted to go back to the grade thing. So, career services, I'm like, when I hear that, I'm like, oh no, it does matter. And I think of one of the individuals that I'm working with currently in our career planning component of things. And she's a young adult, and she went to college before she was ready, and her GPA reflects that she went to college before she's ready. But now, almost 10 years later, she's now knows what she wants to do with her life. She wants to go back to school, and they're like, oh, okay, well, you can come in here, but your GPA is this. The program that she wants to get into is extremely competitive. That GPA that she got from when she was not ready to go to college but went anyway is going to prevent her from being competitive for that position. So now we're having the conversation of, you need to retake those classes. You need to retake those classes and replace those failing grades with high grades, because that's the only way you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be competitive. Also, we have students who are like, I'm just trying to get my bachelor's degree and go on with my life. But then 7 years later, 5 years later, 3 years later, they get an itch. And they're like, I want to do something different. I want to either pivot into a
Mm-hmm.
different career field, or I want to
Mm-hmm.
springboard deeper and higher into my current field. And then they want to apply for graduate school. And the graduate schools are like, what kind of GPA is it that you have?
Yeah.
So we
Mhm.
do tell our students, like, do things with a spirit of excellence. Even if you think the only thing that you're going to get is the degree that you're working on, you never know what life is going to bring you. You never know what
Right.
you're going to experience in the future. Like, when I went to get my doctorate, it was 15 years after I had gotten my master's. I had no plan to get a doctorate. Then one day I was just like, I want to get my doctorate. And they did what my transcript. They wanted all my transcripts, even the summer classes that I took during my bachelor's degree at a community college. And
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, my focus was, if I'm going to do this class, I'm going to do it well. And so I want to go back to what Tara said. Like, if you're struggling, recognize it early and get
Yeah.
help. There's no shame to ask it. When I went back to school 15 years later and I had to take statistics, which was not my area, I was in office hours every week because I was like, we're gonna make this grade. And I got an A in both of my statistics courses. But the fact of the matter is, if somebody was prideful, they might have been like, well, I'm gonna figure it out. Nope, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not with my grades, because I realized, like, this is permanent. It takes
Yeah.
much more effort to increase your grade from like a C to an A than it takes to fall from an A to a D. And
You
so we
know,
definitely encourage students to really try to work really hard on those grades, because they just don't know how that will impact future plans that they don't even know will come to pass.
Yeah, just like with me at Southwest Texas State, I had to take a course called Course Analysis. And I said, why I gotta take this? I said, I just won't be a school teacher. That's it. Well, you have to take this because you have to learn how to write your own curriculum.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And and I said,
Hmm.
I'm not gonna write anything. The state gave it to us. I'm arguing with the professor like I know better. But I end up taking the course and passing it. But I learned a lot by doing that
Yeah.
and everything. So that which leads to this question right here. Um, how can a student discover their strength, gift, and career interests before choosing a college major?
That's
Mm.
me.
Oh,
Yes, that is actually Twyla.
Oh, yeah. And that's actually a conversation we had with one of our clients yesterday because she was sharing some of the things that she's interested in. And we were like, oh, that's great. Why? Why are you interested
Hmm.
in those things? And she was like, well, and she gave this answer. And it was an answer that, was good, but I was a little concerned because I'm like, I want to know a little bit more. Like, I want to know that you've been exposed to it, that you've had a taste of it, that you've talked to people who are in that profession, that you have a somewhat realistic idea of what's involved with these professions. And so, in that instance, as well as in an instance where a student is just like, which we have another student who she's just like, I like this, I like history, I like English, I like sociology. And it's like, okay, great. Now, what careers are you thinking about? And so, in those instances, we do assessments. We want to explore what the questions that are asked in an assessment, what their responses are to those questions. What are the patterns? What is it saying that they might be interested in? And then when we get the assessment results, we go over it with them and say, well, what do you think? Does this seem like a realistic reflection of your interests, your values, your abilities? Okay, great. Based on that, here are some of the professions that align with those skills, abilities, interests, and values. What do you think of those? Okay, you don't know what this is? Here's some resources for you to find out. What is this profession? Where do these people work? What type of tasks do they have on a daily basis? What salary does it look
Hmm.
like in the state, nationally? What's the outlook? Will this job be relevant in 5 years? Will it be
Yeah.
irrelevant in 10? And
mm-hmm.
so we really walk them through that understanding. We talk to them, what is your lifestyle preference? Are you like, look, I want to do human good. I want to be, in sustainability, but it doesn't matter how much money I make as long as I am doing X, Y, Z. And then we have other people who are like, nah, I like how comfortable I'm living right now with my parents with their XYZ income, and I want to sustain that. So then we have very realistic conversations about,
Yeah.
well, this profession may not allow you to sustain what mama and daddy is doing with a dual income.
No.
So we have some
Basket
very real
weaving would
conversations.
not do it.
Underwater basket weaving, no.
No.
Mm-mm. So we have some very real conversations that don't just help them explore what their career interests are, but
Hmm.
also help them to connect those career interests to desired salary incomes for sustaining the type of lifestyle that they want, that they would feel comfortable with. And then also some folks have things where they're like, I want to go global. I want to travel. Like
Hmm.
we just really take into account various different facets of what matters to them. And then we have conversations about the different academic disciplines that can lead into those professions, the different levels of education they might be looking at. So someone says, I really want to go into physical therapy. Okay, well, are you wanting to do physical therapy at the assistant level, which is still a really good income, but you only need to get the community college degree, an associate's degree? Or are you talking about, I want to be a doctorate of physical therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to be the top person in the room helping someone work through whatever they need to recover from. So we have very real conversations. We involve assessments, we involve online resources for career investigation. And then we also recommend things like informational interviews with people who are in those professions, job shadowing with people who are in those professions, summer programs that align with those professions, just different types of exposure so that by the time they get in college, they have a more realistic understanding of what's involved that will allow them to feel comfortable and confident about the pathway that they're going into, or enough so that they can explore it and then understand when to pivot if they encounter something that they're like, oh, this is part of this career field, not interested.
Well, that means
So
Oh, go
Oh, I
ahead.
wanted to add that after the assessments, we do have real conversations with families, and sometimes we recommend or and make sure they know that the military may be an option. Have you ever
Mhm.
considered the military? I'm an Air Force veteran. My husband is an Air Force veteran, and that is a way to pay for college. That was one of the avenues that we were able to help get my daughter through college debt free. And so, but if you're unsure, and you can gain a great skill set in the military
Mhm.
while earning a great paycheck with benefits. And
Mhm.
so, or maybe a trade school. I know college consultant is in our in our company name. And yes, again, college planning is the core, but we do not, again, the end goal is a productive
Mhm.
adult. And we believe in, if the best option, that based upon our experience, we feel like the military is a strong option that you all should consider. We do have those conversations with the family, along with
Mhm.
trade schools, because as
Mhm.
Twyla shared, if the child is not ready for college, college is expensive. We tell families that is not where you send your kids to discover themselves. Like, I don't know, I just want to go to college. No, then community college may be where you should start out at. Or
Hmm.
have you considered the military to gain a skill set and allow them to pay for college? But you're gaining a skill set, but you're also gaining time to mature, time to figure out, is college really what I want to do? So I just wanted to share that after those assessments, it opens up so much, it reveals so much to us as a company, that we're really able to hone in on the student's strengths, and job options or career options, or schools that align with that, or other options that align with their strengths. And we
Mhm.
offer, commercial plug here, we offer a strategy session
Yes.
um, that you can go online and schedule. And during that strategy session, once you sign up, we send you the links for the assessments. We get the
Mhm.
results. And that's a 45-minute to an hour session where we kind of sit down and we just walk through the career goals, what options there are. And we kind of, you leave there with an actionable plan that you
Mhm.
could work on your own, or if you wanted additional services from us, that's another option. But I highly recommend families, especially if you, as a parent, you feel like, you know what, I just don't know. I've been around my child X number of years, they're teenagers, but I still don't know what their strengths are. I really would love to know what their strengths are. I really want to have a conversation with them, but they don't open up to me. We come in as facilitators to have that conversation with the family, and it's a great investment, parents. It is a great investment.
Mhm.
I could tell you that I'm gonna go back years ago. I got
Mhm.
laid off. At first time
Mhm.
ever being laid off.
Mhm.
So, and I said, I gotta draw unemployment. I don't even feel like doing. I didn't feel right. So I went
Mhm.
on and did
Mhm.
it. And at the time I did it, there was some course that was set up. I forget what they call it. So I ended up
Mhm.
taking a computer course.
Mhm.
It was free.
Yeah.
I end up a year being in it, just like going to a trade school. I
Mhm.
learned how to work on computers, build computers, do a website, got 10 Microsoft certifications. When I
Mhm.
left from there, I walked straight into a job
Mhm.
and just walk straight into it. Like I said, college is not for everybody,
Mhm.
and some trade schools not for everybody. Some got to be for you to do something because there's other
Mhm.
options out there for you. Because right now in
Absolutely.
some of these community places, they got workshops.
Mhm.
When we were in high school, I remember we had trades. It
Mhm.
was automotive, welding,
Yeah.
woodworking.
Mhm.
Ladies, they had the cooking and sewing. That I don't want to sound so male chauvinist, but those are the things that they had. They learned a trade in high school. They
Mhm.
took that away, and now the kids getting to high school right now, like we talked earlier. I hate using the word lost. They're not really lost. They just don't know where to go.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Yeah.
and that's where your services come in. So
Mhm.
tell us about 4C LCC. What do they
Mhm.
provide for the students and parents?
Yeah. So there are a lot of different ways that we work with families. As Tara mentioned, we do our strategy sessions. Sometimes we have families who are just like, we don't know where to start, but we're not quite sure that we need X, Y, or Z of your services. And so that's what the strategy session is for. They can go onto our website, register, pay for the strategy session that allows us to talk with them about where they are as a family in that college planning process, unpacking what they need to be doing. And then we like to walk away with that session having given them 3 to 4 goals that they should be planning to achieve over the next few weeks, and then also some steps and resources to achieve those. We also offer, in addition to those strategy sessions, we also offer custom packages. So we may be working with a family who they have a rising senior, and they're like, we want our students to be able to be ready to apply for the colleges of their interest by the beginning of the fall semester, which would be ideal for most students. But we also realize we're starting late. And so we need to get on this now. We need to optimize the summer. So then we would sit down and have a conversation with them in an exploratory call, figure out where they are. We have an intake form that they would complete, use that information to determine what do they need over the next few weeks to make sure that their child is submit application ready in the fall semester. This may mean working with them for 8 weeks. It may mean working with them for 10 weeks. It may mean only working with them for 5 weeks if they've already started, or 3 weeks if they're pretty much just needing to focus on maybe like essay writing and resumes. So we talk with them about where they are, where they need to be able to submit their applications for the colleges of their choice. And then we provide with them recommended sessions and series and topics for those sessions. And then they respond with whether or not they want to move forward with that. And the other option that we offer, the third one, is that we do set courses. Now, these are not customized. These are 8 sessions that are very specific, from exploring college interests all the way to putting together a competitive application. And it's 8 sessions. Each one has a specific topic. And from those, the students will have the resources and the preparation to be able to move forward with their family support in the college application process. So those are some of the 3 main things that we do: the strategy sessions, the customized packages, and then the third piece being the courses. I mean, and with those sessions, the sessions that I mentioned, the 8 week sessions, that's family cohorts. So that's multiple families meeting on a set day at a set time each week for sessions that we are then facilitating across that time period.
Okay. Now here comes the good question for both of you, because I know you have the answer for this. What success story have you seen from families who plan early and follow the clear strategy?
I'm going to
What
leave this one to you, Tara.
I would say a success story that we have seen is graduating debt free and walking into their career field, their chosen career field. And we've seen that for multiple families. We've been with them, of course, with my daughter from the beginning, but there's some families that we started in the middle of the process. Many of them we had the opportunity to speak into their life. From elementary, when you agree, Dr. Twyla, there's quite a few
Mm-hmm.
that we started elementary, and just asking when you're I think as adults we don't realize how just asking a question of a teenager or of a student can you can see their wheels turning, like, why are you asking me that? Like, but through the years in asking questions, and then once they get to high school, we work with them more one-on-one. And but a success story is ultimately a student graduating debt free. I would not say it's the only success. I think when a family, to me, success is when a family leave a conversation with us and you can see the confidence, you can see the peace, you can see the family dynamic has shifted. That is a success for us. That is so fulfilling. It's greater than any number, dollar amount, revenue we can get. It's the gratefulness of the family, and it's the peace that
Mhm.
the family unit is experiencing, that they can enjoy that season of life and it not be stressful.
And I would say a lot of the ones that I have worked with, so the reason I passed it to Tara is because most of the ones that I have worked with are individuals who did not start early. And so that's a large part of why they are needing that hands-on guidance because they're like, we need to catch up. We got a lot of making up to do. And so we've worked with a few that are like, this starts early. And that is why we push that message so much as well. Because while we work with them and we are successful in our work with them, it is still more stressful than it needs to be versus
Mhm.
those who started earlier. So we're like, yes, we can work with you as a senior, we can work with you as a junior, but desirably you would come in middle school and the pace that you're moving in wouldn't be nearly
Mhm.
as stressful or overwhelming. But I can give you an example of someone that we did work with that was like not early, but we jumped in, we did a custom
Mhm.
package with her. She was able to apply and we were meeting weekly. We were going like in, and she was able to apply to top schools that she was interested in. She got accepted into her number one school. She got the highest scholarship at that school, which is the Chancellor Scholarship, $25,000 a year for
Wow.
4 years in addition to additional scholarships that she got a scholarship because she did a tour at the school as a junior. She got a scholarship for a smaller amount, but at the same school, and it's also reoccurring for 4 years. And so, but the biggest thing for her was getting into her first choice. She was concerned about whether or not she would get into it. She was concerned about the timeline because when they started the meetings with us, we were already getting into the fall semester, but she was able to make those early deadlines. She was able to get those scholarship applications in. And in the fall, she will be starting at her top choice school with a substantial financial aid package.
Wow. Which good. You just led me to this next question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to families who think consulting is only for the wealthy?
It's not. It's not.
Mhm.
Um, so wealthy folks get it because they're typically trying to get into a highly ranked, reputable institution, maybe on the East Coast or on the West Coast, or one of our Texas Ivy League schools. And so they realize that this is how many families get their children into these programs. This is the pattern, this is the way of doing things. But unfortunately, then you also have those families who don't see it as something that they should take advantage of, and they miss out on the information that these wealthy families are getting. Like whether the student comes from a wealthy family or a financially challenged family, like the information needed is the same. Like you need
Yes.
to know, how can I write a strong essay, whether your family is making six figures or barely making, five figures, right? Like you need to know what is it that the admissions counselors are looking for when they ask you, tell me about yourself. Why are you
Mhm.
interested in this school? What can you bring to this community? Right. And you need to know, what are they looking for on your resume? Like, how many hours have you done community service? What do you consider community service? So I work with my church on blah, 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 but you don't put that on community service, right? Or you did something at your school on a particular club, but you didn't put that in as community service because you didn't have someone to guide you through the understanding that this is serving your community. So
Right.
there's just so many pieces, like taking the SAT. A lot of people are like, I took that SAT, my score was this, and that's what I'm working with. But if you work with an education consultant, they can be like, no, we're not just taking that just once. Why would you do that? Right? And then how can you get, well, I can't afford to do an SAT test prep course. Okay, that's fine. There are free resources. Let's talk about the free resources that you can take advantage of. right? And so there are many resources, there are many sources of information, both free and that you have to pay for, that families don't know about. And the wealthy get access to this because they ask. Whereas a lot of times, people who come from an impoverished mindset or people who come from a lower middle class, even mindset, sometimes are hesitant to ask the necessary questions because they're so used to navigating it on their own. And it's not necessary to go about that way. And that is what keeps us from getting access to the information that can help us really take advantage of opportunities that are readily available.
If I can add on to
Yes.
what Twyla was saying, I think as a parent, we have to understand it's an investment that we're making
Mhm.
into our child. If we look at it from purely financial standpoint, if you were to sign up for our 8-week cohort and come alongside other families and join a community of people that are walking in on the same journey you're on, that is priceless. That is an investment.
Hmm.
But a family may say, I can't afford that. If you were to give up eating out one time, if you're a family of 4 eating out at a restaurant today, you can afford our cohort. Just give up
Yes.
one meal. That would pay for one of our sessions in our cohort. If you're a family of, I'll say 4. And
Hmm.
so when you break it down like that, or for that mom, give up getting your nails done every 2 weeks, make it stretch a little bit further, or give up some other type of subscription that we all have so many of and don't realize we do. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a sacrifice and it's an investment. So I would say
Mhm.
sacrifice, investment. That's the mentality that sets us apart. It's not so much bank accounts, but
Mhm.
it's mindset.
Mhm.
No, I'm willing to make the sacrifice and the investment to into my child so that they will be set up differently than when I graduated high school.
Mhm.
So what
Mhm.
I'm hearing from you is the lack of resources, the lack of knowledge, what's out there. We get
Mhm.
stagnated and think, well, I can't go because I need help, but they don't even bother to look out and find where the help is
Yeah.
at. And
Mhm.
and my key with what I'm doing with this radio station, I'm making sure people can find resources. Like
Mhm.
like with you on the show today. Both of you
Mhm.
young ladies on the show today, somebody asks me something, I'll direct them straight to you.
Mhm.
Because that's sad when we sit back and it's right there in front of us, but we let it
Mhm.
just go by.
Mhm.
It doesn't make any sense with the resource. You know what? There are plenty of
Mhm.
resources out there. There are resources out there just sitting there have not been used.
Yes,
And so,
Yes. And there's a
it's
lot of
true.
scholarships that go
mm,
unawarded because people don't apply. So
Mhm.
there is, as you shared, there is resources out there. It's just a matter of you're a family being willing to make the sacrifice, and it is a sacrifice. I'm not going
Yeah,
to sugarcoat it. It is
absolutely.
a sacrifice,
yeah.
but anything worth getting, what's they saying?
Mhm.
It comes with a cost. Anything
Yeah.
in life comes with a cost, whether or not it's a direct cost or indirect cost. There's a
Mhm.
Yeah.
cost associated with it, but
Mhm.
the reward is just is so great. And
Yes.
the Bible says people perish for a lack of knowledge. Get equipped. The earlier you gather information, you get equipped, you can make an informed decision. And that's what we want to help families do. Make an informed decision when it comes to your child's future, when it comes to your student's future. And so that's the heart of what we want to do.
Mhm.
Okay. One last question before we end. How
Mhm.
can listeners connect with college consulting and career coaching?
Mhm. Yeah, so definitely there are a couple of ways. You can go to the website now because our theme is Decide Today, Invest Now, Yield Tomorrow. Our website is Decide Invest Yield. So they can go to www.decideinvestyield.com. Certainly, if they want to reach out to us directly, they can do info info at decideinvestyield.com. And I highly recommend connecting with us on social media because we post free resources and free information. So when people are asking about summer programs for their students, like enrichment programs, we're posting that on our Facebook page, right? And so we're posting information about financial literacy and the importance of having financial conversations and money management resources, websites. Those are being posted on our LinkedIn pages. And so, highly recommending that they also look at the Decide Invest Yield resources that we have online through our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn accounts.
Okay. I would, if you send me the information, I would definitely put it out here so everybody could.
Absolutely.
We'll make it a one-stop shop. Anything you need, here you go. Because
Yeah.
I get everybody sending me stuff, and I post it out there. And you know what's funny? Some of the phone calls I get say, "Well, I seen your show the other day," and they say
Hmm.
show, and I'm saying, "Okay, what show? You know what show I'm talking about?" I said,
Which one?
"No, no, I do not. Which one?
Mhm.
Give me a day, then we can narrow it down. If you give
A
me a day."
topic?
And
Yes,
yeah, and
please.
I could go through it and figure out which. Like the other day, I had somebody on. What was the guy talking about? I forget what he was talking. Oh, he was a marketing person, and he
Hmm.
was saying some good stuff. And everybody said, "How can I get a hold of that guy you had on the other day?" I said, "Okay, you got a name?" You know, and that's what gets me. I spend more time doing research for people who ask for
Hmm.
things I have no clue, you know.
Hmm.
And I say, narrow it down for me a little bit. But, get the information from you. I'm starting to put myself a spreadsheet together where every
Hmm.
time I have a show, I put it on my spreadsheet and the
Mhm.
date and the time and the subject. So when they ask me, I could go to it and boom. I almost feel like I'm doing something when I do that.
You you are changing the world. You are
Yeah.
impacting the
Yes.
world, the next generation.
Oh boy,
Yes.
and we need some help
Hmm.
with this generation too. I'm not gonna lie
Hmm.
to you. I thought my kids were lost. Well, let me not use the word lost, misinformed. And I was trying to figure out what are y'all doing? Well, Dad, you know, and I'm sitting there looking at them. And I said, y'all gotta take a DNA test. Why? Because I know I didn't think like that. I gotta make sure
Well, you know
y'all
what?
mind.
I wonder if your grandparents or your parents would agree, or were they saying the same thing that you're saying?
It'd probably be worse. And I got six grandkids, and I look at them all the time. Are you really mine? No matter what generations you go through, it always come back to the same thing. Like you just said, my parents said they thought I was a problem child, and I
Mhm.
heard about mom and dad. My
Mhm.
grandparents thought they were problem child, so it all goes together and everything. It's what you are exposed to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because I know my mom made sure that we went to all type of plays. She wanted us to understand culture. She wanted us to
Mhm.
understand you could talk to somebody who's wealthy. At the same
Mhm.
time, you talk to somebody that's not wealthy. You can have a conversation with anybody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she was saying that's what we need to do, and that's the problem. We got that
Mhm.
line drawn where you can't go talk
Yes.
to him because you're not up to their specs. Who cares?
Mhm.
We all bleed red,
Mhm.
something that my grandfather used to say all the time.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
Yes, the human race, the
that
human
that's
race.
right. It's
Mhm.
one
Yes,
race, one
yes,
Yeah.
one
race.
race. Yes.
Yes. Well, young ladies, I appreciate y'all being on.
Mhm.
And when this show is over with, I'll have the edited version and I'll send it to you, and you can do whatever you want to do with it.
All
That
right,
sounds
and we
good.
would send over to you our information so you can share with others.
Thank you. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
that.
having us on.
Oh, you are
Thank you
so,
so much.
and I want to talk to y'all again after the summer vacation.
Okay.
So you
Uh,
could tell us who you helped out without giving their names, and just say that we ran across some difficulties on somebody and you helped them out. I want to hear all that good because a lot of people want to hear that because they think, well, I'm not going to make, and that's sad when people have that negative mindset going in.
Mhm. Mhm.
I want to see
You
how they
know,
go ahead.
I wanted to share, and you're right. But with anything in life, until you make that decision and decide and put some do with it and put it
Mm-hmm.
into action, you're always going to have those thoughts. You know what I mean? So you
Mm-hmm.
have to
Yeah.
make a decision, and then
Mm-hmm.
you have to put some action to that decision.
That's
So
correct.
please, parents, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're just unsure, just don't
Mm-hmm.
know, please reach out to us so that we can at least have that conversation to give you some actionable steps. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for clearing that up. You did good.
Yeah.
All right. Until then, y'all have a
Yeah.
very blessed week, and I'm looking forward to
Mm-hmm.
talking to y'all after the summer.
You
Awesome.
as well.
Thank you. You have a
Thank
great day.
you.
All right.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Okay. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to WSAN Radio. Catch us on our YouTube channel, WSAN Radio SA. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification button.